right, we're back. My name is Joel Duggan for folks just tuning in. We are in Satisfactory. It is the LEGO Let's Chat Friday day, but it was a short LEGO stream today, so we decided to jump into Satisfactory to wrap up the rest of the afternoon. And I've done a little bit of work off camera, not really a lot of building, but I did a lot of resource mapping. And this is tedious stuff, but it really helps in the long run to kind of know where all the nodes are, know where the train stations are. I really wish this map would be consistent of like when you hover over something, it would show you the information. You take all this time to punch in the information and then it just sometimes shows you and sometimes doesn't. It's also hard sometimes there are nodes that don't delete. It could be just an artifact of me taking this save through a bunch of different versions of the game. However, one of the things that I've done is I've mapped all the resources in the Green Valley, which is here, and the Western Slopes, which is here. And if we look at my spreadsheet, which is, I know, nerdy, but essential in this game, I've done the Rocky Desert North resources, Rocky Desert West, Rocky Desert South, and then I've also done Green Valley, which is the scavenger train, and then the Western Slopes, which is the Bone Crusher train. Now, some of these don't go anywhere. Some of these are just like they get halfway onto a train. There's a problem in the factory somewhere. So basically, at least I know now what is coming into Devastator and what we were planning on doing. So that is essential for moving forward as we're planning different things. And so the other building that I did was just working on some of the tracks. And I'm not entirely sure that I'm happy with the way that the tracks are shaped. So we'll take a look and I'll show you what I mean. And I think I'll just scoot over there with like a basic locomotive. I've turned off all the trains now so we don't have to worry about collisions and stuff while we're driving around on our own. Just while we're constructing the main line. Until I get the main line done and I can drive back and forth without interrupting anybody, we're just gonna like leave the trains off. Nothing is really using the resources right now anyway, so it's not a big deal. So what I'll do is I'll just build my own little construction train. To me, that spreadsheet is old school gaming, taking notes from games of what I originally got used to. Nice. Yeah, I like the idea of organizing this kind of game. I like the pace of Satisfactory, I think, a lot. One of the appeals, definitely the pace of it. I checked, and you can actually turn off the headlights on the car and the buggies, but not the trains. There's no... The button doesn't work. It works on the headlights on the cars, but not on the trains. So we're going to head off to the right here, which I probably have to go around the horn, actually. That way, this way. Maybe I didn't turn off the trains. Whoops. So this is what we did last time. And I don't like how wavy this is. Like it goes up a little bit and it turns. And then it goes up a little bit. And it turns. And then it goes up a little bit. Like I'm really not a fan of the way that this turned out. Technically it's connected. And I gave myself a little turnabout here just to kind of have a place to stop and work. But I thought I was going to like this more. I think what I need to do is focus more on like straight lines and then curves rather than trying to curve. Like rather than trying to have things kind of connect in funny ways, or trying to be super smooth in this game does not appear to be the way to do it. Right? So if I go and I bring up my other website, then we can sort of see what I'm dealing with here. I'll switch this up. So you can see the pink lines are the train lines, right? And I tried to make this nice smooth curve around here, and it didn't really work. There's like a kink in it here, and there's a kink in it there. And the straight line is okay, but then it's not a straight incline. It's got kind of like a weird grade to it. And part of the problem is our train towers are like they've got straight lines on them. They're parallel to the ground. And obviously this is temporary. Like we're not going to have it switch around here. What I want to do here, and you'll see I've built a couple things out in the valley, is there's a spot there for a train tower, and I think we're going to come down here, and then we're just going to gently curve in here. So I guess what I'm trying to explain is, like, I don't know whether something like this is better, where you do a straight line, you do like a right angle, or you do a 45, you know? So the whole planet is supposed to be themed after Transformers. So I'm wondering if it would be better for me to have train lines that look more like this, you know? A straight line, 45, straight line, you know, 45, straight line. So there's some tight curves, but they're very quick. And it tends to look a little bit better, I think. So I'll have to figure out what's going on there. So I'm going to do a little bit more here, and we'll see what that might look like if I continue to do stuff that's a little bit more straight. Why does this... I didn't bring this train with me, did I? Was I not driving out here on a single locomotive? I must have connected these by accident. Did I not come out here with just my train? Like, was it just not this? Maybe I just couldn't see. I didn't realize I brought the whole thing. I mean, it's fine. It's got all my parts in it. But yeah, that's interesting. I brought the whole thing with me? Alright, well. That was at least intentional. Or not intentional, but like good luck. Happy accident, because I'm going to need the parts anyway. So I think what I'm going to do is figure out where the towers are going to go. And then we'll try to angle these things to work out in a way that makes sense. So I've got a funny feeling that this is going to be turning into a much larger exchange. But for now, we'll just do a single tower. And if I look at where I want this to go, it comes across here. I feel like I may want to have the tower be a little bit closer to this edge rather than like in the middle of this plateau. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over there. I'm going to find a good spot for a tower, and then we're going to try to connect. I think it's better to build the actual bridge first and then delete it later. I think this is a good height for this valley too. That's pretty cool. Cosmic Dancer has set up a monthly tip. Happy monthly donation day. $10. Thank you so much, Cosmic. Those monthly donations are awesome. For folks that don't know, that's a monthly donation you can set up through Streamlabs. So if you do just a straight donation, it's through PayPal and Streamlabs. It's one of the best ways to support, actually, because PayPal only takes a little tiny bit and Streamlabs doesn't take anything. So most of the money goes to me to support the stream and the work that I do, which is amazing. But then you can, on Streamlabs, you can say, just check a box that says recurring. So you don't have to do it every month. It just remembers. And then after that, you can redeem the notification every month in chat, which I believe is what you just did, Cosmic, right? Like, it gives you like a heads up, like, hey, by the way, you can redeem this. Does it give you an email? I can't remember. So we're going to need a lot of concrete. And a lot of steel. What do rails take? Yep. Having a construction train, one of the best ideas. And it's not my idea. I've seen it happen on all kinds of different playthroughs, but very, very fun. PayPal takes what again, Joel? A tiny bit? What did I say? Did I say wee bit? What did I say? I normally go by the PayPal receipt that I get. You get an email after you've tipped to say thank you. All right, cool. I remember setting all that stuff up a while ago, but I don't remember the details of all of it. So let's go over there to our marker, and we'll figure out where we're going to put our next tower. The sun is very quickly going down, too. I may also have to blow some of this stuff up. I'm basically standing on top of the marker. And the next train marker you'll see on the map is right over there. So I'm basically looking straight at it. I'd say it's probably somewhere around there. That little nut bush thing that they have. So there's the world grid, which we are trying to stick to. And now I've got to look back at that. So it's probably going to be better to have this a little bit closer to the edge. Would be my guess. And that's almost a 45. Yeah, we're pretty much looking straight at that, aren't we? I think this is probably our best bet. So we'll grab that. I don't know exactly how tall we need to be. I'm guessing. Looks like we're gonna have to chop down some trees. And it looks like we might have to get a little bit taller. So it looks like breaks and day-night time aren't going to line up this time around. I'll just throw up a highlighted message in chat for the stream. Thanks. That sounds like a good idea. I think I can probably work through the night. There's a couple of things we can do inside that need doing. So I can go back and forth. So the idea was to try and stick on the world grid vertically, and I don't know if I've done that. I may have. And so is this going to be a proper 45? Not quite. It's not quite a 45. to be on the grid. And that's okay. We are on the grid vertically though, so that's good. So this is the level that I want right there. Now we could go up or down. The game is very flashy at night, I find. A lot of bright highlighted blueprints and things that show up in front of you. Alright, so that's good. We've lined that up right. Get rid of this. This might be a little high. So this is going to be a little bit off, I think. Oh no. That lines up. Oh no, right, because I went from this. But this should line up to be a perfect... It doesn't. That's weird. Or am I on the other grid? I can't remember. A little frustrating that the world grid is kind of like so different from where you can potentially place stuff. It came about because we started building before the world grid was actually available to players. Oh no, it's not just you that thinks it's really flashy. Some of it might be some of my settings. You can change the way that the game displays your holograms. Like when you're building stuff, like this red color and the yellow color of deleting things, like all that kind of stuff you can change. It just depends on how you want to go about it. I changed these to glass foundations because it turns out, here, pro tip, when you're using the frame floors, it turns out there's a little height difference here between the middle strut and this bottom strut. It's not one big hitbox, and your train tracks actually go down and then back up again when you don't put them in the right spot. So these are not the best to put underneath your train tracks while you're building. You can put them underneath your train tracks after you've built the train tracks, but not before. It's not a fun time. Yeah, I feel like this is a pretty good height. I don't think I want to go any lower. We'll check it again in the daytime. And then it's just a matter of, do we want... If we want to go to the right sooner, then we'll have to move that support over there. But then if we're coming along in a train down this way... I guess the train tracks are going to be too wide, so we have to decide if we're going to be going down, if this is the right lane or if this is the right lane. I feel like it might be better if this is the right lane because you're not driving straight towards a giant mountain. I'm curious now as to whether I made this on or off the world grid. So I'm just going to go back over here and see if this tower is on the world grid. Thanks for the lurk, CJ. Appreciate it. So that is what we are... Oh, did I build that? Yeah. So that's what we're building our tracks on top of. So if I grab a 4-meter foundation, I want it to connect the other way. There we go. No, I mean, that's on that grid. Then what's the world grid? Oh yeah, we're 2 meters. We're 2 meters off. But at least we're exactly 2 meters off and not like sort of off. I'd rather be connected vertically. If we're going to be off the grid, it's better to at least have a vertical connection. Yeah, I feel like this would be a pretty cool looking train route. Look how the train towers turned out. Thank you. Appreciate that. Again, I'm worried that I'm kicking myself in the foot, or in the shins rather. That's not how that phrase goes. I'm worried that I'm kicking myself in the shins by not having power connected all along these lines. I'll dig up a video on my first break and we'll watch a little bit of it, of someone that has a worldwide train network all connected via like power connections and stuff, and they're not hover related things. They're like they're different kinds of stuff. So one of the things I thought would be cool is if we divided the track, and the track coming back could come through here and the track going out could go this way. This is where we're going to have to change directions, though, because this is where we've got this tower out here. So now I've got to kind of figure out where that's going to go. So I guess from here, we'll just go... I guess I have to go find out where that position is going to be. But I'm pretty sure that I'd want to go kind of like roughly in this direction. So this is the middle of our track. I'll just kind of like judge it by the way that I want to point. Because I feel like traveling in this way on the train would be cool, because then you'd be looking at Devastator. You'd be looking at the factory your whole way out this way. And then maybe put the tower on like the edge of this rock somewhere. That's roughly where our marker is, right? So I'll use the grid again. So that'll bring the train out this way, and then we just have to connect it up around the corner. So here we might want to have the track be parallel this way so that this can kind of come out, hit here, and then go around the corner. Something I'd like to try to do is create something that would maybe mimic the curve of the river and just kind of like curve right around and then head straight down this way. I can actually show you better on this other map. So if we zoom in here a little bit, you can kind of see there's the train marker. So I'd like to kind of curve around here, right? So I don't think a right angle would be the best way to go. I think we want to come out here, come across this way, and then connect back up. So I think I have to find like a connection point over here, which is probably going to be around the river. It might actually just follow the river. We'll see. Well, we've got this thing to kind of contend with. So I might try to do some stuff there. I don't know. the hard part is not knowing how it's going to look when you connect the tracks. Like, you might plan, and then after you plan the thing, it might be just like, oh, well, the tracks have decided to do something completely wonky. And then here, of course, we're coming from being very high, and if we stay on the same level, we could end up being quite high, which could look very cool. It would mean, I guess we have to figure out how close we are to the other track height, right? Because eventually I think I want to bring the train lower as we get closer to Megatron. We'll have to see. Right, so we basically have to guess. Well, no, I guess I've got the world grid, right? So I can probably just... If I use the world grid, it's just a matter of figuring out where that would go. That doesn't seem like it's on an odd angle. I think that's 15 degrees. Unfortunately, there's just no way to know all this until you just run the line, see where it lines up. Do you find you use a lot of the same framing techniques you use in Minecraft and Satisfactory when planning a build? Yeah, 100%. And I think it comes from my background as an artist, like doing a sketch first with something really simple like concrete, you know? Wow, did we guess the right height or what? Victory is mine. I will take that. How do we feel about the height? Do we think the height is good? I feel like I'm starting to overlap things, which it feels weird, but I think it'll eventually look cool with, you know, things to look at that go underneath or around the train tracks. I think that's kind of part of the charm of this game. I think I did a pretty good guess on the angle. I think that's going to look cool coming in here. Now here we're going to expand this a little bit, I think, and see right now if I look directly in line with this foundation and we look at the map, I'm looking perfectly west, whereas I want maybe this to be a little bit more down at another angle. So I might change the angle on this tower and then figure out how to do that later. We might want a straight section here for a ways, you know? So if I get rid of this and then we... If I did that, I feel like it's not quite due west. Yeah. I might want to go a little bit farther. Yeah, they've changed the way that these things snap to one another, and it's cool that it gives you more options. But it's a little bit tricky. You got to really pay attention or you could screw up. Yeah, okay, that feels about right. Now, the significant thing here is we are much higher than that. So I think what I'll probably end up doing, at least for now, is we'll come around here, we'll turn the corner, and then on our way in that direction, we will go down to that level. I think that's the plan. Now, how wide do we want this to be? I think I want this to be a block over. I'm basically trying to figure out where the middle of this, like this kind of like axis, right? I feel like we need to go here. That looks about right. So I'll get rid of some of these. And then we'll just extend this to the point where we know where they're going to cross. What did I say? This was the axis? Yeah. So I put a nice bright color on my hotbar so we can kind of mark the middle of things now. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 4 probably. So I'll do 4 out this way. So it's not going to be round, at least not at first. So this will get us a nice section of straight track here. So the train will come out here. It's not quite a 45-degree turn. It's more like a 30-degree turn. So we'll come out. The train will turn. It'll travel straight for a little bit. And then around here, it'll turn again. And actually, that works out about right because this is where I said we'd have to go between these two rock pieces. I didn't realize we were going to be above them, but I knew we had to go to the left of this. So we're going straight down that way. And I would say almost like a 45 should be fine. So that'll be easy to do. And I guess at this point it's going to be easier to stay on this grid. So here's what we're doing essentially. This is not the world grid, but this is. And by making this little turn here, we can jump between the grids. But because I've made everything the right height, it's easy and won't be too rough in terms of looks. And so if that's the end, then I'd want to... I need to figure out where the inside track is. I gotta lay down the other thickness of track. It's a nice bright color, but it's not pink. I could change that. Custom, hold on. Edit. Quartz. Does that show up? Oh, didn't save. I really wish that these things would like actually save when you just exit. A little bit of a pain. There we go. Pink. Is that the right color, pink? That's purple, says Cal. Kind of like a magenta. That's the problem I have with this game, is that when you paint things like this, it's like terracotta in Minecraft. Right, so that might have to back up a block. Yep. And then so I guess this is going to be the inside track. So I thought something that we could do later would be to take this track and separate it out. But that should be easy enough to do. It'll do, says Cosmic. Was that so hard? Hold on. Let's make it even more pink then. Cass Craft Dragon subscribing with Prime for 4 months. Thanks so much, Cass. I really appreciate that. Glad you're enjoying the streams. It is very easy to see. I will give you that, Cosmic. It is very easy to see. Alright, so here is the issue where I run into things, is that this needs to be on the other side of the center line. So we need to remove these for that turn to actually work. So we now have to remove these two to make that even. Or I guess I could move... Well, the pillar is going to stay kind of where it is. We'll see. We'll see how that looks. We do have a smaller base to the pillar, so that should be good. So if I'm facing that way, that should be good. I wish that your tracks would show up on the map. We can do train stations, vehicles, trains, but you can't actually show like the tracks. I really wish they would show us this in game. You can only do it on this interactive map on the website. So where does my tracks go? Kind of right in line with this little bump in the river. So right in line with that little bump in the river. So they're right about there. We'd end up connecting over there. Yeah, I might not want to go straight at a 45. That might bring us a little bit too close to that area there. So 1, 2, 3. So one click does move it to a 45. Then you just have to figure out if you're in the center. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is a 30-degree turn. Oh, that's going to be too close to that, I think. So maybe just Cosmic Dancer for finally crossing over into the pink side. A $50 donation. That's amazing, Cosmic. Thank you ever so much. I imagine you probably got a chuckle out of that. Sorry for the giant red thing. That's amazing. Thank you so much, Cosmic. Mental note to clip Joel saying pink is best. I think that's right. No. It's 1, 2, 3. Oh, that's 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And I think that's... No, that's not right. That won't work. Will it? It might. It might. I might have to move it over there. Which is still plenty of room. I think that'll be okay, I think. Yeah. We just might have to push it back. It's really tricky. It's very, very tricky. Alright, from here, we'll just zoop straight out. And now we have to figure out what the height change is going to be. So what I want to do is I want to get down to a good level. We can also move this tower to be a little bit closer to support this. I'm also going to take care of this friend, Death from Above. All right, so I'm going to replace this with a 4 meter. Now, unfortunately, we are not on the same grid. Is this... Oh, no, we're not. What the heck? Is there another one? Oh, there is. So annoying. Now I'm way down here. I wonder if I'm close enough to these to get power for the hover pack. See, this is the thing. I can't just draw power from these, which is unfortunate. Like I could use the hover pack, but I can't actually pull it like building power and plugs and stuff. So, back to what I was saying. Yeah, so that's not quite perfect distance. Or did I do that wrong? I did that wrong. Let's just do this. That's 1, 2, 4. Yeah. Still not quite there. But roughly we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I'd want to come down probably to be even before we make the turn. So let's back out here. And figure out where this goes. And there's nothing to say that I can't have a pole actually in the water. But bare minimum, I'd say we'd probably want to go there. So we'll go hot pink marker. We'd like to be flat, I think, by the time we get to here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So remember 8. I'm not gonna make this. Oh, that was close. I know you're a late game, but how much of a thing is PvE in early game? I feel like more of a side occupation or a slight nuisance at this stage. Early game, it's not too bad. Usually what happens is when you have a node, like a resource node, there's usually monsters around it. Or any place, like there might have been a slug up here. Like anytime there's like something of value, there's usually something that you have to clear. They don't come back unless they update the game and they change the animals, and then they come back. So that's kind of a pain. Once you get the Xenobasher, which is what I have here, it's pretty good. There's also guns, and that helps a lot too. There's a rebar gun, so you can load some rebar into it and then shoot that. So that's okay. And there's also a rifle as well. It's weirdly really weird how good the rifle is as far as like a first-person shooter experience, considering that's not the focus of the game. But it's not terrible. It's not the end of the world. So we're gonna come around the corner and we're gonna go down almost immediately. So now we just have to figure out what this distance is. So let's give ourselves like maybe 1, 2, 3, and I'll start counting from here. SweetSandi, you are correct. Yes, that's a good good point. The animals do come back if you don't build in the area as well. So 26. And we had 8. But 24 is a good number with 8. So essentially the way that tracks work, for every... where's my 3 meter? So for every 2 blocks we go sideways, we have a nice comfortable distance of 1 4 meter up. So for 8 meters sideways, we can go 4 meters up. So it's a 1 to 2 ratio. So if we have 24 meters, then every 8 meters we have to drop 6, which is a bit much. So that means the 26 should get us there. I think. We'll have to see. Monkey Programmer, welcome back. Thanks very much for the raid again. Very kind of you. Hope you're having a good stream day. So we'll start from here. I'll just do one side for now. And I believe if I just use 2 meter foundations it'll work, but we'll do the math correctly first. And then if I do... I need to not have this in my hand here. There we go. Build menu. Yeah, so basically that's the shortest distance for like raising tracks and stuff. So we should be able to grab that, bring this down, and just get ourselves to a point where we're even or close to even with the tracks. We may want to do that closer to the thing. That went down a lot smoother than I thought. So that gets us almost down to this. Now, I guess I got to remember that this rail is probably going to change. We can adjust this to a different height. Having this be slightly off right now is not going to be the end of the world. When we finish Megatron, we'll do the other changes. Thank you. How's everything going today? Things are going well. We did a short Lego stream. I do Lego every Friday. Finished Grogu, the Mandalorian and the Child set. And then we switched over to Satisfactory. And we'll be doing this for the rest of the stream day, rest of the afternoon. And we're currently just trying to bypass the factory with a world train network. And I would say this is about where we'd stop. And make the turn from here. Autosave lag. Yep, I think that's about right. So we're kind of outfitting the world with these hover towers. I don't know. I think I went back and watched a little bit of your VOD, Monkey Programmer. Are you far enough in the game that you have trains? I don't remember. So unless it's an update of the map, the mobs are kind of hints that there's something of value. That's an interesting system. Yeah, no, that's totally how it works. That's totally how it works. But yeah, as Sandy was saying, once you clear the mobs from a resource node, the idea is if you build something there, then they won't bother you. So unlike Minecraft, you'll still get creepers or zombies that could spawn in your base. But in this game, once you start building in an area, they don't respawn unless the developers update the game. So, and there's another big update coming. So like you just end up having to clear stuff. But if you're walking around in your factory, you generally don't run into anything too crazy. All right, we can get rid of all this now. So I hope people are kind of like seeing what I'm trying to do in terms of laying out the track first and then attaching the poles to the bottom of it and then going from there. And so every time we've got a break in these foundations, we're going to take care of that break with a curve in the track. And the track's going to be floating, so we don't have to worry about matching these up, making them look cool. We don't have to worry about this, because all this concrete's going to be deleted. This is a tower section here, I think. So this thing here is going to be, do these towers look good if the track turns right after them, or is it going to look like weirdly unsupported? As I mentioned here, we've got a branch that goes up this way. So this is probably going to end up not being, in the end, one of those hover maglev towers. Here, I mean, that looks good there. But here, this is probably going to be a more terrestrial structure with like a roundabout or some sort of exchange for this to kind of connect with. Because then we can get rid of this terrible loop that's down there, and we can just have a rail line. Like, we could just bring that straight onto this and have it attach and be on its way, right? So it'll be pretty straightforward, I think. So now the only thing we have to do is figure out where we want the tower. I feel like what we'll do is we'll remove some of this. This is the bridge. This is the middle of the bridge. So if I extend this out this way, oh, nope, that was close. No dice, McScrewgunn. So we did a pretty good job with this. I feel like if we had the maglev right here, it would probably feel pretty good. So if I remove these, we'll put a marker here. Very easy to see. And we'll call that the end of the track. And then this would be where the track would start. So I feel like if the track was supported here and then took a turn, remembering that our maglev sticks out and like a half foundation, that may or may not be good. We'll see. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 26. I guess it doesn't matter that it's an even number. I'm basically just kind of preparing myself for success later if I want to turn this from a hover bridge into like a more solid bridge, because this could look really cool as an actual foundation bridge. And so I just want to make sure I know where the middle of it is. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So this would be the middle. I feel like that's pretty central. I wouldn't mind it being a little bit more this side. Hold on. He sounded very... So that's my Minecraft brain, right? That's my Minecraft brain thinking, like, do I want it to be an even number? So I'm just thinking, like, if we had an arch here, like if we made an arch bridge, it would be cool if... It's hard to see backed up, but like there in the distance is... That pink represents one tower. There's the middle, and then you can see the other tower. So if we stand kind of like right in the middle here... I think that looks okay. Imagine if this was like an arch. I feel like... we might want to go just a little bit farther. So middle would be there. So one block. So have these... This block be the middle. Right, so 1, 2. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, if we wanted to make it an arch. Right now I'm just kind of doing these hover towers, and I may, you know, I'm going to do this short section of track, and if we decide we like the other style better, then we'll go the other way. They both look cool. So if I wanted to make this the middle... as a single middle, I guess we just have to think about how far it is from this other tower, because the other tower is on the edge. There's no wiggle room over here. We've basically got right on the edge here. So we'll count these. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hard to see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 under the track, 12, 13, 14, 15. So if I did 15 again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10. Oh yeah, no, that doesn't work at all. Okay, so we'll have to leave it where it is. We'll have to leave it where it is. I think the only thing I'll do is move this by a block or a foundation. See, block, Minecraft brain. Move it by a foundation just so that it's not on a an even number. We'll move it so that it's on an odd. Although sometimes in this game you're better off to go on evens. It can sometimes help you in the long run. Oh, stream is an hour. Thanks, Cosmic. Appreciate that. I missed that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So if we did 12 and 13 was the middle, then I would do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then this would be the tower here. That's fine. We'll do that. That's the tower. Cool. Alright, so we'll just jump on this. I'll put the train on auto mode. Because of this track loop, we should be okay to do whatever. I'll check to see.
You are so lucky that you found this most valuable artifact.
Oh boy. Megatron and Western Slopes. We'll just remove construction station out of the equation. That sounds good. Turn on self-driving. I take a break once an hour, folks. I would encourage you to do the same. Grab a stretch, or you can hang out and watch the break train. Either way, we'll be back in 5 or 6 minutes with more train time, I guess, on Satisfactory. Be right back. So this is the path we're looking to remove, and I don't think we're going to be driving through the middle of Devastator anymore. It's convenient right now. I may use it for like inside the factory trains, but for now we're just going to bypass it completely. I'm going to get out of photo mode here. Does anybody have the issue where you just can't find your photos? And I've tried all of the different directions that these photos are supposed to be in, and there's no directory at all that I can find that has photos in it. There's 2 on the Reddit. So I have to take screenshots with like Windows screen capture, and it's a terrible, terrible system. So there's some sort of bug, and I just haven't let myself or wanted to do the reinstall of the game, you know? And exit. Yeah, we do have a limit for the length of the trains, don't we? I don't need 2 locomotives on this either. You've never got anything good enough in this game to take a screenshot of? You could maybe be taking screenshots for reference, you know, like for reference and stuff. I'm going to back up and stop a little bit before. Alright, so we'll do this count one last time just to make sure we have it right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Middle. That's what I decided, right? One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay. So that is the end of our, here's the track part on the tower, so we can get rid of this. And something else I kind of have to remind myself, I can always get rid of this on the tower. As long as we're building at the right height, I don't have to keep these exactly as they are. But this is just going to be a straight bridge, so this should be very straightforward to do. Now, is this middle actually above something, or is it just kind of like in the middle of nowhere? It's kind of in the middle of nowhere.
Harvest.
Where is that thing? Oh, there it is there.
Breaking news from Earth. Widespread chaos and mayhem. World President urges all citizens to do their part and harvest alien artifacts.
So loud. It will just keep talking to me if I don't do it, so you might as well. So I think we can just, for now, use the midpoint as a place to connect the tracks. Easy place to remember. Should be a nice straight line. Now here, we'll have to put down the tower. And I've changed the blueprint on this. I've added the connected foundations on the ends. Oh no, I've got to change those. Those aren't good. Okay, so we need the blueprint designer. Production special. Yeah, that's it there. Load them up, the blueprints. Load blueprints. Trains, the purple one. Tower 1, Tower 1. 20 meter. Right. So I want to remove that. And I want to put just a regular foundation in its place. And that's what I want, yeah. It's so bright on these things, I apologize. Okay, so we'll save that. Confirm. Clear designer. Now, do I have the right one on my hotbar? No. There we go. Now, something I noticed when I was on the break is that my train decided to load at Bone Crusher Station, and I thought Bone Crusher Station was unpowered, but I guess I'm incorrect. So I have to go check my train before I get too carried away and delete the stuff that I might not have picked up. That's how I broke my quartz factory, is that I ended up probably going on a break and then loading a train up with goods and then unloading it at a station I didn't mean to. So having this rail network outside of our deposit network will help me not have to do that. So anything that's like from Bone Crusher we can just get rid of. Yeah, so like that's garbage, and I guess we can keep the quartz. I might use it eventually. Yeah, don't want that in there, right? So it wouldn't be a lot. It's just filled up my cars with things I don't want in there. The rest of this I think was too long. Yeah. Through the broken quartz factory gave you the chance to rebuild it better. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So much of this over here was built like a year and a half ago, before all the great updates that they've added to the game. So I'm happy that I'm going to have a chance to redo it, I think. So we want the tower to be there. The blueprint for it looks like this. And I'm missing... Oh, I should have checked to see what I needed. That sucks. I did not have the things. Looks like we're good on most things. It's just the encased beams. I have to say, for all that's been telling myself, I just got through to watch folks play this game for now. I've been tempted to load the game up. That's how I got back into it. I started watching what Darren plays and watching him go through the early game, and watching someone experience it differently was enticing and made me think that I'd want to get back into it. I think also all the updates, the blueprints is really where I was just kind of like, once I knew blueprints were coming, I'm just like, I'm not going to build until the blueprints are here, you know? So I really wish that we could snap this to, like, so that it would snap the top of this, because I would love to be able to build from the top down. You know what I mean? But it doesn't let us do that, which is frustrating. So we'd have to, like, I don't want to have to gauge it this way, you know? So that's tricky. If I do blueprint mode, I guess I could drop this down. Either way, it is... How wide is it? So we've got... I think it's 3.5 wide. Because it's meant to go on across roads. So we want it in that kind of position. I think these are both going to be too tall. Yeah. I've run into this issue with this blueprint where I can't actually get it to work. If it's shorter than 20 meters, like if the tower is too short, I have to rebuild the blueprint. I could try making an edit on it and copying it. Did I not? I had another one too. $16 meters. This doesn't have the things on it, but that's fine. Can't tell. One of the things that they've improved in the game is going to be this nudge mode where you can kind of like place the blueprint down and have like 2 clicks. What if I did like one on top of the other? I wonder if that would work. It's really hard to see. But I mean, nighttime doesn't help. Really, all I need is get the height right. But this won't work if I do it there. All right, what if I make a copy of this without the little thing in the middle. So clear designer, load blueprint. We'll do, I guess I'll load that one back up again. And then we're going to save it as something else right away. So we're going to take 4 meters off of it. So it'll be 12 meters. Set the directory, trains, add the blueprint there. It's a weird interface. Select color, I don't know, lighter blue. Save blueprint. So now I can just remove this stuff. I'll keep the lights. Now, unfortunately, because it's still high, I can't actually do what I want with it. But at least it's a shorter version. Save blueprint. 12 meters. Now that didn't mess up my 16 meter, did it? No. Okay. Clear designer. Load blueprint. Where's the new one that I just made? So it still put it in the wrong category. That's really frustrating. Yeah, that's really frustrating. Load blueprint. Set directory. Why won't it let me move it? Edit? That's dumb. They really need to work on this UI. Oh, boo. Welcome in. Okay. I don't think this is going to work. I don't know how we're going to be able to attach this to the right height. $12 meters. So it gets down there, no problem. But see, it gives you the air gap because of how I built it, which is frustrating. It got halfway there. Why does it want to go down over here? So it's only going down when I don't want it to. At this point, I could have built the thing myself. So we're going to do that. Which way? This was the thing, was it? I removed my markers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And this thing will stick out by a half. Is that what I want to do? Yes. Oh, the snapping. Come on. I feel like they've kind of either answered the call for more snapping points and then caused more frustrating situations where you end up with snapping points you just don't want. And it's so sensitive that it can't decide what face of the track you're looking at. Anyway, the way that this works is that it's like a, I think that's the way that it works. Can't remember whether I brought the 12 foundations all the way up into the tower or not. Crap, I did. Okay. So that's not in the right spot. I wonder if I should have just made the blueprints in 2 separate pieces. You know, like, I can't see them from here, but maybe what I should have done is created a blueprint for the segment without the lights, a segment blueprint for the lights, and then have like this one piece, just that one top segment. That's probably the smarter way to do it. Probably the smarter way to do it. Because I don't remember exactly how these are going to go, but we'll go with this like that for now. Just to get roughly where I want things. At least the tracks are going to be at the right height. So the idea here is that there's a straight section of track that kind of extends a little bit before it kind of curves and connects. And so we just have to figure out where we want that curve to be. And I think we'd want it to end, yeah, here. So we'll probably start with track here, just for now. Again, such a frustrating way to look. And then this is our midpoint, so we can go from, let's just go from here. And we'll go to, I think I was going to halfway. Too sharp a turn. I guess this has to be pushed back, maybe? This is the kind of trial and error stuff that I find really slows you down. So, one thing that I remembered from when I was doing this a while ago is your outside curves. See how we've ended this on this line? If I come 2 clicks past that, and then I think this will work. It just makes this... Oh no, I have to move this one. So you kind of have to like remember that you've gone 2 clicks past the seam. So you find your seam, start here, you go 2 more clicks that way, put in your tester track like that. And then when you connect things, your curve is a lot more even in terms of the spacing between the tracks. It's not perfect, which is frustrating. I really feel like they should be able to do curves in this game a lot better than they do. It's rather frustrating. Now, I don't know whether we'll be able to get all the way to here from the midpoint. We may not. No. Okay, so we'll have to do that this way. Should be straight. All right. So, unfortunately, the thing that really drives me nuts about these tracks, and the way that I've designed the hover thing, it doesn't look very good with these signals. So the block signals that you have to put in every so often, I don't feel like the hover tracks really look good with them. So, see down there? You got to have these signal blocks on them. I'm not a big fan. So we'll put some here because you kind of have to in order for the track to function. They force you to use these. And I could put them either before or after. So in some places I might try and have them more centered. I might try to do a little bit more with the tracks in that way. But there's going to be some blueprint designer time, I think, for Joel in the future. There's something specific. Yeah, it's the way that... See how everything is really even? You know, like, these are the right distance apart. All that kind of stuff. What happens is that there's a spot where if you don't do it the way that I did it, it does get narrower. It's hard to see, and then it gets wider again. But like right here, it's closer together than that. And one of the things that you can do to minimize that is have your tracks farther apart. And actually, that brings me to something I want to mention. Maybe I'll wait until it gets dark and then we can watch a video. Because I've got a cool YouTube video I want to share with you all about like a worldwide train network that's really, really cool. So here we can just basically run straight lines. So this should be pretty straightforward. I don't know where we're going to put towers. I think I have to kind of rethink how I'm approaching the blueprint designer. But now I'm going to take the opportunity to make these the same length again, so it becomes a lot easier. So 12.5 foundations is the max length. So I usually go for 12. I don't know why shouldn't be a junction there. Do you share the same dislike of building things twice in Satisfactory that you have in Minecraft, or is it not much of the same problem? It's a brain problem. I dislike it. I have to remind myself it's not as big of a deal in Satisfactory as it is in Minecraft. I think the thing that I find frustrating with games like this is when the UI and the way that the game behaves is inconsistent. And that to me is where I get really frustrated with the buildings and stuff in the game. So this shouldn't be a problem because I think it's taller than 16 meters. So it should be a little bit easier for us to hook this up the way that I want. So I will remove those guys, these guys. I believe that was the correct height. No. So I need to go one higher. See, this is the finicky stuff that I'm talking about. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We should be good if I remove this bottom piece here. And I apply that there. And then I remove all of these. I'll get up there and then remove the ladder. But because it's taller than 20 meters, then we should just be able to use our blueprint. And plop that down. I'm probably going to have to get up on something higher. You really need to be far away when you're building big stuff with blueprints. So that should overlap and be cool. Unless I built it in the wrong frickin' spot. That's fine. Right, okay. But right height, like that's... So this is the thing. When it's taller than the thing, it's easy. It's when it's shorter that I didn't have all the different blueprint things. So really what I needed to do is break that blueprint, it's a hard thing to say, down into its component parts. And so have like different segments so I can build it at any height that I want. So I just need to move this over by a half a foundation and we should be good. And I'm probably going to have to remove those. I think that's right. Here's the other thing I don't like. The white box should be on the corners of those foundations, and it's not. You can see at the top of the screen, it's inside the foundation. It should be lining up exactly. Now, the clipping could occur warning is over the edge of the white box, but you can see at the bottom of the screen the white box is not on the edge of the concrete, and it should be if I have that centered, and it's just not. So there's some sort of graphical glitch that they haven't figured out yet. Right, so that's kind of where we are with these things. And the other thing that I think is a little bit tricky, I might have built this a little bit too far to one side. And here's the thing that I have to remember that I can do, is that I can remove these. I don't have to have this be straight. So this is the fun trick, where I can take the extension of this these are almost placeholders, like they don't have to be there. So I could come in here. We're just going to find a nice spot for this track to start. Let's go with, if I'm here in the middle, we'll go 1, 2, 3. nice tight corner. Come out to there. Do the same thing here. So the way that these tracks show up in your hologram, depending on how you face, it's kind of frustrating. So we'll just see how close I can get this. I might have to do another segment. Oh no, I can get a... Oh, it's just... Really? It just won't do it. That's frustrating. Okay, so let's bring it to somewhere's not that close. We'll do something in the middle. I don't know, here. And then I'll bring it right to the middle of the seam here. And then from here, I'll just connect to there. I'll do the same thing here. Where did I put the break? There it is there. Oh, no, it's foundation back. So by deleting these tracks, I remove these little straight segments, you know, for myself. And those are part of the problem of why the original way that I was building this wasn't working out the way that I wanted. So here we've got these two even spots, right? And if I connect these like this, this might not be long enough of a curve, but you can see how it does get closer together. It's really subtle. But a lot of that has to do with the limits that they place on these the tracks. Now, hopefully that's straight. Should be. Looks straight to me. So this is what I mean by instead of doing smooth curves, I think I have to do these like quick angle changes. And I don't know how often I should be putting blocks along these things. It probably should be fairly often, I would imagine. So here we have the same issue where I've got to figure out if this is where I want the tower. Then I have to count down. Oh, that's a 4 meter. That's good. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can place it on that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's the base. And it has to be placed on the seam. That should work. And then here, we just have to figure out where we're going to put the ends. So it seems like these things don't want to connect anywhere within 3 foundations of each other. So if we come to here, we'll go 1, 2, 3. Let's just see. So 1, 2, 3 to there. That looks crooked to me. But I guess it's right. Yeah, it feels weird. So here, what we can do, we can't do a shorter track than this. So what I'll have to do is adjust this somehow. It still looks weird, but whatever. Now going downhill is always real tricky. Real tricky. I feel like, if I remember correctly... Actually, do I have one? I do. I didn't remove it on purpose, because I knew that I would need to look at it at some point. Originally, the train here was going underneath the platform. And I left the tracks because I knew that doing this was tricky. So at the bottom, we go... Looks like we go 2 meters in. Or maybe 3. Maybe 3 meters in. There's the middle. So yeah, 3 meters in. I would love for them to have a foundation that was like a 1 meter grid. Just like on the Blueprint Designer, like I would love to have like a 1 meter grid on the foundation. That would be a fantastically useful construction texture. So I'd say 3 clicks away from the change in ramp, and that's a 4 meter ramp. Oh yeah, okay. That's fine. So 3 clicks in there, and then here we're a real distance away. It is, I would say 1 and 2 meters. Yeah. So full foundation and 2 more meters. Forget how cool it was to watch all the pieces come together midair. Oh yeah, no, it's a cool visual effect. All right, so we can probably start from the bottom. I was not planning on having this entire stream be rail. I wanted to do more factory work, but this stuff seems to be taking a little while. So we'll just start with, this was 3 clicks backs. 1, 2, 3. So you always have to do these little end segments. I've seen people on YouTube call them. And so now we should be able to just go up and do this until it ends. It won't do the whole thing, I don't think. No. Obviously not. Forget it. I guess we have to go up in a chunk until we, probably just until we get the right. Huh. That doesn't look good. That's probably what I did. Let's back this up by 1, just to kind of see. I'd say that's probably easier to remember and easier to do. Right from the middle. Now that we're on this angle, we should be able to just run the whole thing, or most of it. So what's this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Using the paint gun for markers when you're building is really handy. Stream's at 2 hours. Thanks, Cosmic. We will, in fact, break very soon. So do I want to be here or do I want to be back? It was definitely down a foundation and then 2 meters. So I can grab this. Full foundation. 2 meters back. And we know from other information that it generally is a 1-to-2 ratio. So that's 8, 10 meters, which means I should go horizontally 20 meters. And that's 8. So we might be able to go all the way up to here. Nope. That doesn't look good either. So we'll try the middle. Try one back from the middle. I guess that's probably about right. So it looks different when you have something else to connect it to. We'll go with that. I also, this is the other thing I have to keep on reminding myself, is that I'm removing all of this concrete. So if it clips through the concrete, I don't care. But Joel's art brain is like, care. Very much care. And you're like, no. You're not thinking fourth dimensionally. Oh yeah, that doesn't work at all. So this is 2 meters down from the top. Now, do they look the same? They look the same to me. Okay. So, I think I should be good. I'm just going to build myself a locomotive and we're going to go on a break train ride, but we're going to do it without any cars on me so I don't end up being all over the map. We're so close to finishing this outside loop. We'll have it connected in the next hour. It might not look very pretty, but we'll have it connected. My brain was thinking the same thing with the clipping. I had to remind myself that we were probably going to remove concrete. Oh yeah, it's all going to be completely floating rails. The idea that I wanted to do was to limit the amount of things that I'm placing in the world and only have like either floating train tracks, but give them a reason that they're floating. I don't like the idea of like stuff just floating in the sky for no reason. That's why I like the idea of these little maglev designed towers, because it does give kind of like a mission, you know? All right, we'll delete you. We'll build you facing this way on your own with no baggage. And we will go into, we'll go Megatron and Bone Crusher. And then turn on self-driving. This should be good. I'll be right back in about 5 or 6 minutes, folks. Thanks so much for hanging out. More train stuff in the future. I chose the wrong bone crusher station. My bad. I need to change the way that these things are made. What do I want to do here? Can I turn around in here? I guess I really can't. Thanks, Cosmic. Yeah, there's no real quick loop in here. So the easiest thing to do is going to be to just deconstruct the train. I'll just delete it and build another one facing the other way. Yep. Still enjoyed the train ride. That's good. Yeah, I wish the train signals were a little bit more futuristic looking. We should have this connected probably in the next 30 minutes, I'd say. You were asking for someone as detail-oriented as yourself. Do you find it difficult not to get carried away in making everything perfect? Sometimes. Sometimes I can. How are we doing for stuff? And we're good. I don't need that, and I don't need that. How are we doing for quartz? I guess at this point, if this is all hooked up, I could just bring the train. I don't think it matters that the block signal isn't working. I'm driving it manually, so it shouldn't be a problem. It won't go automatically without the block signal intact, but we'll fix all that. So here's the view. When you're on the train, you're not really going to be able to see anything until you actually turn this way. I think this angle here is probably going to be the nicer, yeah, bigger view of Devastator. More going on. Alright, so now all we need to do is just figure out where these are going to stop. And as usual, we're going to do like that 3-block minimum. So 1, 2, 3. If we brought these to here, and then stopped these on the edge. I guess the issue here is then it becomes a problem as to where we're going to put the actual segments, but once I've got this done, I should be able to delete everything and maybe actually have a seam in the middle. I think that's one of the flaws that I have in my blueprint. So this should connect. Frustrating. So let's back these up, I guess. Okay, so now here is where I might be able to get this to go in the middle. So if I remove all of these are all straight pieces. I could maybe use the fact that this is on a different grid. I can grab this, go straight to the middle, and then go from the middle to here. And then same thing here. So I think it's kind of important to have like a practical, you know, go at using your blueprints and then realizing where are their flaws so that you can go back and change them to be better going forward. I've seen some Satisfactory creators that that are using Patreon as a way, if you support them, then you can get access to their blueprints, which I think is really cool. Thank you, Cosmic, for being awesome. Appreciate it. And thank you, Kel, for the shout out for Cosmic. What was I looking for? Block signals. They're on my hotbar, Joel. So block signal there. And then a block signal here. So hopefully, because I've made these even and they're right above the platform, it'll look a little bit better. And they're not staggered at all. So we'll see how this all kind of pans out. So that's all connected now. It's just a matter of getting this to connect down to here. So one last little bit, and we've got our bypass of Devastator. This should be pretty easy. I'm going to pull that to the same length. So here, where's our segments? Oh, there's a segment right there. Oh, so that connects over that way. How to do this? But chances are we're gonna have to delete this whole thing anyway. I'll extend this. And we'll bring this down. We'll maybe do the dip on the curve, just so it's not as obvious. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to say we bring it right to here. Or would it be better for me to take this height? Oh, it's gonna be that'd be hard to do. That's okay. I think what we'll do now, we've got 1, 2, 3. I feel like we should be able to get it to here. Now, is that going to be too tight a turn? Probably. Yeah. It's not just the distance, it's also like an angled thing too. It's alright, we'll just start backing up one foundation at a time until we get it right. I'm actually going to take a second while it's dark and show you guys a YouTube video, I think. There's a giant hole there. I do not want to find that by accident. Pretty good, pretty good. Now this shouldn't be a problem. No. I don't know whether it's just an optical illusion or what, but anyway, once we connect these here, and that should be an even segment as well. This should just be straight and flat. And that should do it. You couldn't fall down the hole just a little bit? So we're going to have to run along and put in some markers because you can't have an entire network without block changes. There you go, Cosmic. Because then your train, if there's a train on a big segment, no other trains will go on it unless that segment is clear. So you really kind of have to have your segments really planned out, which is unfortunate. I shouldn't say unfortunate. It's now part of the game. But you can see how this is a much more pleasant drive because it's just got a quick direction change and then straight line. I feel like I'd rather this than some swoopy curves, unless I get very good at swoopy curves. Right? So this could be an S-curve, but right now it's like a 45-degree just angle change and then angle change, right? And the tracks get farther apart and then back together and all that kind of stuff. Swoopy curve, technical term. Exactly. So we only have a couple of points where we can actually turn around, and I need to change that. Thankfully, this isn't a loading and an unloading station, so we should be good to use this as the end of the loop. Alright, just while we're waiting for the sun to come back up, I thought it would be good. Let me pause the music. I want to show you guys a video. This is... My name is Leon on YouTube, all one word. You'll see it in a second here. I don't think I can make it bigger other than just going into like... If I go full screen... No, that doesn't do what I want it to do. Okay. So you'll get the gist. Is this the right one? No, this is the bridge one. Whoops. This is not the right one. Hold on. I queued up the wrong video. I want... I'll have to go into my YouTube history. Hold on a second. History... Which one is it? Update 6 ready. Anthrax. Alright, I'll go with this one. And bring that back up. And it's just going to load. When I move to OBS Studio, I'm going to do some better capturing and be able to do like YouTube stuff and different things. This is just being real silly. Just play, please. Oh, the fun times of doing things live. When YouTube just decides, I'll work faster and louder than ever you want whenever you don't want me to. And when you want me to, forget it. All right. I think that worked. I'm not sure what it is with some video tech these days. It's so glitchy. I apologize. This was working a few minutes ago. Why is it so rough? All right, well, here I was hoping to show off somebody's video and how cool their network is, but apparently the video just doesn't want to play, so apologize for that. It's not them. I'm putting money on Streamlabs desktop being a complete pain in the butt. All right, never mind. All I wanted to show off, really, if I can find a still. Maybe I can just pause the video somewhere. Normally YouTube is fine. It's normally Twitch that's the resource hog. Or I guess I should say Streamlabs, but yeah, like this is really, really frustrating. Hold on a second. Let me just see if it's just a while I'm streaming issue. So it seems to play fine when I'm not capturing it. So I wonder if it's got something to do with Streamlabs. So I turn this back on. All right, now it's going. Anyway, what I liked about this was, one, the really unique intersections. They're really cool and fun. But Anthrax Blackspire here on YouTube has got 3 foundations wide, right? So my tracks are a lot closer. And so any kind of distance variation between the tracks that bugs me, you can't tell because they're so far apart that you can't see any kind of weird graphical or anything that lines up funny. I've also noticed that he's got angles on his towers, like there's ramps on the towers to help with like the angles of the tracks. And you'll notice that all of his block signals are lined up in the middle of the tracks, which I like too. I think this has got some volume. Oh, now YouTube has just decided to be complete snot. Awesome. I touched it. My bad. Sorry, folks. I tried to turn up. Trying to give you some volume. Apparently, it doesn't want to give us any sound. Otherwise, it'll just be a glitch fest. But some unique interchanges, some different ways of getting around. But he's also got a hypertube in there in all of the different towers, and Anthrax also has power. You can see a power cable underneath all of them. I'm not crazy about having power routed everywhere underneath every single tower. The tracks themselves carry power, but I'd like to do something. I kind of want to have a cross between what Anthrax has got going on and what I'm doing. So there may be parts in my Devastator playthrough that I do more terrestrial stuff. Anyway, we're going to stop this because the video quality is just not there. And it looks like it's daylight back here in the game. I think this is the video that you're showing, maybe. I don't know if I shared it in the Discord, but thanks, Sandy. Appreciate that. It's weird that trying to change the volume caused it to be crappy, but anyway. So we should be able to ride this whole track all the way back. You'll notice that I don't have any block signals along here either, and this is because I'm not sure if this is going to be the permanent location of this rail. And there's only one train that comes down here, and it's me manually. So I don't have to worry about block signals and things like that on this section. We will on larger sections. But I think they look pretty cool, the hover trails, hover trains. I don't know whether this is going to look weird because the bend in the track happens after the support. You know, like we might have to move the support to be closer to underneath the rails. Same thing with here. You know, for example, if I slow down here, we'll get the train over the rail or over the tower. I like to look at the rails from what you can see in the video. Cool. Yeah, I'll share it on the Discord so people that are interested can always check it out. Right. So like this supports this nicely in the middle, but then does it look weird that these bends happen in places where there's no support or no hover support as we were discussing? So anyway, we'll see. I do have this segment though, which means I can add this to the bottom. I'm probably going to have to use a ladder. Or not. I guess we won't use the ladder. So that, I would say, is a good use of a blueprint. I don't know whether we want to do something more to these. And this is the kind of idea that if I made this little section here with the light on it, its own blueprint, then like I could go like 1, 2, 3, 4, light, 1, 2, 3, 4, light, and that could be how we handle all that. Yeah, I don't know if this is going to look a little bit funky. We might end up moving this tower and placing it so that there's 2 towers here, like one here at the bend and then one here at the bend. That might be how we have to do it. I think it's going to look a little bit funny otherwise. Right. Oh, good. I can still reach. Same thing here when the height changes. Because I noticed that whenever there's a change in direction or a change in height, I see a lot of other Satisfactory players. That's where they put their towers. They're all doing more traditional towers, though. So I'm trying to minimize the amount of towers I have to build, essentially. Is there a friend here? He's over there. Cool. And it looks a little bit funny from some angles. So like this is where I think, you know, another tower could be cool looking. And I guess I feel like we might actually want to. Feel like there probably needs to be another tower in here. Like I'm just kind of judging based on visual distance. I've got a funny feeling I'm probably going to want to put a tower in along here. So like there's the end there. So we'll just kind of do a. Can I count this? I can probably just highlight this. So let's go with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Gonna go under a bridge. 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30. 1, 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. That might be a little close to this. So maybe we'll just do here. And so what I could do here is switch this to the 4 meters. Come around here. Oh no, I have to do it over here. I think that's right. And the good thing about this being on the world grid, as best I can, if and when I do have to make changes, I can easily find the grid again without having to build out miles and miles and miles from some particular spot. So it could be a lot easier. You like the rail lines without the foundations underneath? Yeah, no, it looks really cool. It looks really fun. This to me feels kind of funny. Like the weird kink in it doesn't make any sense. So I would love to do this in a smoother way, but it's hard to do. It would involve having like an angle on this and all kinds of different stuff. It's harder to walk around too. You have to basically be walking on the track or your SOL. I'm going to have to back this train up a little bit. I do not want to know what happens to a train if you remove the training track from underneath it. That seems like a bad time. This is the tricky part. When you exit the train, you're basically on that little pole. A wee bit tricky. So I can remove that. We can grab just one of these guys and just build ourselves out a little bit. So that's where I want the thing. We know that it is 20 meters tall. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And remove some of these. And I should just be able to build it right in the middle there. I can't tell. So all that's important is that the rails are lining up. The left and right, good. I'd say that's good there. So we can, if I can find a way to highlight them, just delete that segment. So what I think I might want to do is have a separate blueprint without the rails. And that's why I think having the blueprints as like several different pieces could be advantageous. Don't need this anymore. So, I mean, I have to really tip my hat to the people that are doing these worldwide train networks, because my gosh, it must take forever. Just forever. So this might look real skinny and cool or real skinny and dumb. So we'll find out here in a minute. But that is kind of what our initial idea for a worldwide rail network is going to look like. I feel like they could use some extra like lights along them in some places. But I think visually that's about right. You know, I still think it might look better with one at the bend, but I feel like distance-wise, about 16. I mean, the other thing we could do is we could make them 12, and then that would be every segment of rail, because 12 foundations is your maximum rail distance. So we could do it that way too. But we are high at the moment. I don't plan on it being this high all the time. Right. Up here. The noises it makes sound like a little bird. You mean the delete build gun? That's what you mean? Need to move the train out of the way here. Yep. If you don't like heights, the break train ride is going to be interesting, to say the least. And now that this is all connected, I am forgetting something really important, which is that I can use the hover pack. I didn't know this. I think this was... Oh. Toaster Gaming or something? There's a link to a video in my Discord about rails and tips for making rails. And something that I saw in that video was that while you can't pull power, like I can't use a power, like I can't use my power cable to connect and pull power from the rail, I can, however, charge the hover pack. So it makes deleting stuff a lot easier. If still a little bit on the like cringy side because you're hovering over a whole lot of nothing. But like makes deleting stuff like that a lot easier. Now, I don't know how far I have to be. I can probably do this. Yep. Decent distance vertically. Not the end of the world. Coming up on 5 o'clock. Thank you. Appreciate it. And thank you for linking the Toaster Gaming video. Folks in the Discord will know where it is, but anybody watching Twitch chat later can check it out as well. So we obviously have some trees that we have to cut down. And before I go crazy with deleting all these foundations, I want to see if I can put a couple of block signals in decent looking places for a change. We did not end up putting something there. I'm not going to delete those just yet. But I feel like if we have block signals at every tower, that's a long section. So we're almost there, which means that's probably at its max distance. Maybe. Yeah, probably. So all I would do here is I would take this extension, would zoop this out a couple times. That's the one that we want. We will do the pink just because it's fun. And then I delete this. Just bring this to the middle. As long as it's long enough that it's... Oh, and there goes my... thing. Oh, that turned off the power. I gotta be careful about that. That's... mental note. I think we're using the rail to bring power from Megatron. Oh, it tripped the power. Oh, that sucks. Okay. Well, mental note. Yeah, so that's the problem without having power all the way out here, is that I'm now basically have to find a power pole. There's one. Oh, I'm not wearing the jetpack. Whoa. So the battery should have kicked in, but I guess if the whole thing tripped a fuse, then that's a problem. Hey, I can fly this one-handed. That's awesome. I didn't know that. All right. So that's the reason why, like, not to delete all of these platforms too hastily. For anybody that does this in their own playthrough. But I can connect the, like, I can use the tower. There's a platform here, and I can certainly build up to the right height, no problem. So it's pretty easy to build out from one of these things if you need to connect it. So, and then here we can hover underneath the things and just delete the stuff we don't want because we're drawing power from the rail. But I guess every single time I cut a rail, I'm going to cut the power because now that I've disconnected. Oh, you know what I should do? I'm just realizing this now. If I make a branch offshoot, if I reconnect to another loop, then this won't be the only way that Megatron is bringing power into the rest of the facility. So that should work. I wonder if you could attach belts or hypertubes under the rails. I could do that. You can't attach belts, I don't think, but you can attach power poles. I saw a neat trick. I'll show you down here if I can sort it out. You can foundations will kind of attach in the middle of a rail. So like if we go down here, if I grab a foundation, see how it kind of goes in the middle of it, right? So you can kind of get there, try to get it as low as you can, like get to the point where like it's just coming through like that. Place that, and then you can place a power connector. But then you'd have to have like cables running underneath your tracks the whole time. And it's hard to get one in the middle. So like we could run wires, but I don't want wires drooping underneath all my cool hover rails. You know what I mean? But what I need to do is I need to hook this back up. That was my error. So here we'll just come to, I guess, here. And then we can connect that and that. And that way, power from Megatron is going into the rest of the network and as well as this. So this is, it'll be temporary, but we'll be fine. We're going to go that way. I don't understand why this is on the wrong side. Maybe it's the way I built it. So this is right-hand drive. It looks terrible. There really shouldn't be... That's that way. That's that way. I don't know why. I guess you can't delete them. So, sure. Are there roof attachments now? Can you attach them right to the rail itself? As there are... Oh, you mean belts. That's a really good question. I have those. I have unlocked those. Nope. It puts it the wrong way up. So you'd have to do the same thing. You'd have to put... You'd have to find the right height. And then zoop something so it clips through. And then do your rail thing this way. And then delete that. And you'd have to finick around with it until it kind of gets the right height. But yeah. Yeah, it's not not the best. Again, rails are really weird. They're not the most intuitive or user-friendly build system. The foundations and the changes that they've made to foundations with half foundations and stuff are a lot better now. So I'm just going to pull this back to about here. So I'd want to level this out and make this a lot better. And this is the kind of thing we might end up with, like certain design rules as we go around and create our maglev rail system. We might decide anytime that there's an actual exchange like this, maybe I have to build like a proper tower. You know, like maybe there has to be a maglev tower here. Maybe there has to be two. Maybe I have to build a physical tower that could help with all kinds of stuff. I don't know. But I'm not going to be able to do the hypertube network because I don't have anything else to attach the hypertubes to. And the hypertubes, I think, are... The distance between hypertubes is not the same as distance between rails. So it's tricky. So I should be able to wrap up the goal here in about the next 20 minutes or so. These are nice in the middle. I think the new ones are in the middle as well. Real test will be when we remove our blocks. Now, why are these not saying... Does this not have a block? Oh yeah, we're good that way. It's just... Yeah, it's... Red is okay. It's when they're flash yellow that there's a problem. So we added a tower here. And... Oh, we do have the breaks right where we want them. Okay, perfect. So I can just put in my block signals like this. So the reason why you want to break all this up, and you can see when you have signals, each little chunk of track gets a nice color. So what happens here is if a train is on the red segment, then a train coming behind it cannot enter the red segment until the train has exited the red segment. So you can see the problem. This blue segment probably goes all the way back to like the junction. So that means if there's one train on any part of this line, then another train couldn't enter unless this was clear. So that's why you want your junctions to be either as small as you can manage or stomach, or, you know, like frequently, the more frequent, the better, because your stuff will just end up going better for you. But it's, for me, it's the aesthetic of it, and having to have signals absolutely everywhere is a real pain in the butt. Visually, I understand the mechanic of it. I get that. It's just the visual aspect of it that's a little bit wonky for me. Try to delete some stuff here. Floating rail network success unlocked. Yeah, see, like this might be too long of a distance between the towers. So visually it might end up looking kind of silly, so we can always come in and change that. It also ends up making very, very large blocks, which may or may not be useful for us. And then the blocks for here, I'm just going to put them, see, they're off center here. Let's just put them here for now. Yeah, it's a fairly large segment. You'd probably want to cut that in half. The towers fit so well. Thank you. I'm glad they do. While we're up here, let's get rid of this. And can I do this easily? Probably. Famous last words. I would say very easily. This way we can actually connect the broken chain that we did before. Hovering in the air with the chainsaw. Only in Satisfactory. Only in Satisfactory. Stream's at 3 hours. Thank you. Yeah, we're going to wrap up in the next 15 minutes or so. So I'm going to make this as close to a right turn as I can. We've got that coming on this side. So 1, 2, 3. That's 3. And then 1, 2, 3. So in order to get everything to look really cool, we'll have a little bit of work to do, but I think stuff like this should be pretty easy. So that takes care of that. And then on the way, that's on the way in, so that's coming back. And then on the way out, we should have another connection here. I'll just do the same thing. And then we've got 1, 2, 3. That's 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4 to that connection. So I have to come back 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'll connect here to this. And that's why this might not want to be, this might not want to be like a levitation tower. Maybe I want this to be like an actual, like, cinder block kind of looking exchange here. I think we'll just get rid of that. I mean, Cosmic, think about how much pink you could have in your train network. You could have pink everywhere in the world. The whole world could be covered in pink. Pink factories. All kinds of cool stuff. Get rid of this old, ugly rail. I'm so happy to be getting rid of this. So now our bauxite line has got power again. We've removed all of this crazy rail. Spam Joel's Discord with pink. Alright, so we're going to leave that. Where is the tower here? That's where the tower is. And so I think I made this in the middle. We should be able to do block signals on both. I'm just going to move the train. And then we'd be able to fix the block signals here too. So here's an example of me just leaving the blueprint exactly as I built it. And see how the segments are like offset and the signals are offset? And it really looks terrible. At least when they're parallel with one another, lined up, it looks a little bit better. And all I have to do for that is, again, just remove a segment. It tripped the fuse again, did it? I don't know. So I should be able to bring this right to the middle. Oh, no, I can't. Okay, so I'll have to back this up to here. Well, that's frustrating. Again, that won't be there. And it shouldn't clip the sign. Okay. Oh, I need to put this down first. Did that separate it? I don't think it did. Unless they're just the same color. It looks like it's okay. Maybe they've just run out of colors. I wish the game would give you a map of your rails. I'll put these in temporarily here. And maybe this will change the color. No, that's one segment. Why is this not? Why is that not changing the color? Red and... Okay, that's what I wanted to see. It could have just been assigning the same color to two adjacent segments. Blocks. Those being the same color is fine. I think it changes color every time I highlight it. Oh no. Oh, and this needs to change up here too. Last little thing. So when you have any kind of intersection, the rule is path signal on the way in and block signal on the way out. So these are block signals. So we'd want to have a new block starting here. So, nope, not that way. Block. So that blue part is a new block. But this pink part, peach part, needs to be a path signal. That looks like this. Unfortunately, they are very similar looking, and I wish they would make them more visually different. They're close, but they're not exactly the same. So that path means that we're treating this as a more trains could be in here than one, as long as they're not going to collide. And then on your way out of your path segments, you want blocks. So this is why we would need, so we need a path signal here. So path. And then there's no block. So actually, we're going to... Yeah, I guess I need to put a block here. And then path. They all should be working? Yeah. So now you can see it's stayed peach, which is very hard to see. I guess to even this out, I could move this block a little bit closer. But now this little peach segment, this weird little T section, 2 trains can go in here at once as long as they're not going to collide. So if a train is coming down this way and heading out, and another train is coming down this way and heading up, the back of the train heading up could be here, and this one wouldn't hit it, so it would go through. That's basically how that works, as far as I understand it. But this, it looks terrible, and this is why I think I need to change this into a proper designed exchange rather than just some weird hover track thing. So I think that's what we'll do. We'll probably end up doing like a couple of pillars and probably have this be a little bit more official looking. And this might not come down here on the ground. Maybe we'll bring this in high, have a nice turn up here, and have it come straight down in. So we'll figure that out later. I just wanted to get the block signals all sorted so that the train networks are not going to collide or have any issues. Because now that this is done, I'm not doing it today, but now that this is done, we could potentially turn on all of the trains and have like the bauxite train go up there, have all the other trains locally move back and forth, and bring in the goods that I showed you in the spreadsheet at the start of the stream. And that should get us where we need to go as far as getting resources to Devastator and being able to pick up where we left off in our last production line, which is a long time getting back sorted. But if you can imagine, instead of turning left here, we're going to go straight through this, right over the lake, and I want to see if I can go underneath the waterfall, or we're going to head over. See the tower in the distance on the right hand side? I'm going to go that way. So hopefully we'll have a train going over the water, which I think will be cool. And if I can get a train network going all the way to the northern factory where we started, I'll have access quickly to a lot of resources, and things will just look a lot better in the long run. Is indeed a long train. Yeah, I've got a lot of parts with me. So I want to see what this looks like from the top of the world. So we'll see what's up here. I'm sure we can see it. You can see it in the distance now. The world is starting to feel more complete now that I have trains at this scale. I've always been really, I don't want to say jealous, but I admire the train routes that some people have in their worlds that are just absolutely massive and everywhere, and such a neat flex, I guess, in the game. But talk about time intensive. My gosh. Get up here. Okay. All right, so the tower that I was talking about in the distance, there's 2. So there's tower right there that I think is going to be where the train line is going to be. and another one over there, and that heads up the valley. The valley is obviously not rendering in right now. It's very far away. But the train's going to come along there, go right underneath about this mid-screen here, maybe come out in the middle of the lake. So instead of being on that tower there, we're going to take this out a little bit farther and make a U-turn and go down that way. But that is, you can see our train network from up here now. I mean, I guess it's probably better if I zoom in. It goes over there, cuts behind. You can sort of see it. You can't see the bridge from up here. And yeah, you can sort of see where that's a long, expansive track. And I feel like we probably want to put, probably right where that tree is in the middle of the screen. I know, another tower there. Now we've got the other two towers. Yeah. Not bad for first crack. Not bad for first crack. I'm pretty happy with that. And what that means is that we no longer have to come straight down Devastator if we're going out to Megatron. We can go out there on our own with a different switch track. So that's cool. It's getting more complicated, but it's getting cooler at the same time. I really can't wait to start making this look a lot nicer too. It's been a long time coming. That's where we're going to wrap things up, folks. We're going to look for somebody else playing Satisfactory. Barring that, I will send you to somebody playing Minecraft. Speaking of Minecraft, we will be back in Minecraft tomorrow. That's Saturday at 1 o'clock Atlantic. UTC minus 3 hours. Scan Voice is playing. Are they still playing Cosmic? Just out of curiosity. Let me know. If not, we can do the Minecraft thing. So yeah, tomorrow we'll be back working on the Keep, the renovations to the Keep in the Citadel server in Westhill. So that should be really fun. You can, of course, check out podcasts and everything at joelduggan.com. If you're interested in supporting the stream, check out Patreon. We just had a bunch of people join the Spawn Chunks Patreon, so welcome into the Spawn Chunks patrons. But I have a personal Patreon as well, so you can do that at patreon.com/joelduggan. Thanks very much for the donations today, for the gift subs, the prime subs, all that kind of stuff. I truly, truly appreciate it. Glad to have everybody along for the ride. Really happy that people like the Lego and the Satisfactory streams as well as the Minecraft. It's nice that people stick around for both. And yeah, more Minecraft tomorrow. Good times. We'll see you soon. Hang in there for Scan Voice, and boy, do they have a cool network. I'm sure you will enjoy the stream. Bye for now.